start with belief systems, figuring out, okay, where is their belief system? And why is their belief system their belief system? You know, I'm not going to be a person to challenge their belief system and say, oh, that's wrong and this is why. But I'm going to listen to their belief system and say, if there's a better way, would they like to see it? You know, I want people to be curious. I want people to
Hmm.
be curious with life. And if they say yes, I just start showing them a different belief system. So that starts with the mind.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. As always, I have an incredible guest with us today that I'm very excited to get to talk to, learn from, and connect with. But before I introduce this gentleman to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you. You are the reason why we do what we do. And I really appreciate you watching, listening, commenting, engaging. So thank you. And I want to ask you for a small favor. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some type of insight, information, skill, a new tool, if you get some type the information or the inspiration to go out and take action to move forward and keep on making progress towards your goals, I want to ask you to please share this interview with 10 people. Share it on social media, share it on Facebook, put it on your wall, send it through messages, Instagram, whatever. Share it with 10 people, since this is how we grow. This is how we share our message in order to be able to motivate, inspire, and bless other men out there to change their lives and become the best versions of themselves. So today I have Clifford Starks. He has a background in fighting in the UFC. He's a best-selling author and coach, but most importantly, he helps others looking to live their greatest life. Right, so he helps others that are looking to live their greatest lives to become the best, the best they can be. And now he's on a mission to serve entrepreneurs and business owners to get the time back so that they can create massive impact with their families and communities. So I'm excited to talk about that. And Clifford, you're welcome, man.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to have this conversation with you and see what we can uncover and create.
For sure. Yeah, me too, man. So the first thing that that I ask my guests to do is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay. Awesome. So I used to be a UFC fighter, and in UFC, you get punched in the face and you learn how not to get punched in the face. You get to the
Yeah.
point where you're so sharp that you don't, not only do you not get punched in the face, you can see everything coming and you're flowing through your process. You become a professional fighter, a true professional fighter. Entrepreneurship is much the same thing. You're going to get into it and you're going to get punched in the face. It's going to be hard, it's going to feel fast. And when you put in the energy and the the reps, I like to call it, eventually you get to a place where everything just starts to slow down and everything starts becoming easier. You become a professional entrepreneur. So that's entrepreneurship for me in 75 seconds or less.
Nice, man. Awesome. I like it. Yeah, it's all about putting the reps, right? Like being willing to do to put in the work. I started this podcast 6 months ago, and I've been putting the work. I've been focused, right? I don't have like 10,000 goals. Like I'm just focusing on two things. And 6 months ago, I started this podcast, and this is like my one. I've done more than 115 interviews in six
Hmm.
months. So right, so and starting, I've gotten punched in the face a lot of times. So how does how does like learning how to not get punched in the face translate into entrepreneurship? So like what are some of the lessons that you were able to learn that has allowed you to see things that are coming and not get punched in the face in life and business?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's all about understanding that everything has a process to it. and realizing, as you were saying, there's a sequence and there's steps that you take to learning how to put the process together. And everything starts with, um, who do you serve? Who are you looking to serve? And you're going to get really messed up with that. At least I know I did. I like serving everybody. I want to support everyone, and I will always want to support everyone. I know there's greatness in every individual in the world, but I know there's only a select few who will listen to my message and really show up to the way that they need to show up. I know there's 10 clients I have out there, and uh, the 10 that I bring is going to be the 10 that they need. And so they're going to basically grow into something they didn't even know that they could. And it's my job to connect with those ones specifically.
All right. So it starts by getting clear. And yeah, like everything's a process, right? And when you have that in mind, when you are able to realize that everything is a process, then you're able to have this mindset of everything is always going in my favor, right? So now,
Yeah.
like everything that happens to you doesn't happen to you, but happens for you, right? And all of a sudden, it doesn't. Well, it is still it's still a punch in the face, but it's just one more move that you have to learn about in order to not be able to get punched in the face again, right? So it's a
Yeah.
process, and I like that. And so so man, who do you serve right now?
Yeah. So I'm really just focusing on entrepreneurs, vision driven entrepreneurs specifically, who are looking to get their time back, and they're high performers. They're already high performers. They know what they're doing. They know how to work hard, and they almost work too hard. And they work so
Mm,
hard, they work themselves into a job. I want them to learn the systems and the processes and know that you don't have to work yourself into a job. You can actually work yourself into a position to where you're creating impact for you and you're creating impact for others, and you're creating massive impact on both sides.
yeah, I really like that. So let's talk about that, man, because I think I'm in the process of working myself out of my business, right? So,
Hmm.
this past couple of months have been very like life changing, and I started to build a team. I'm leading people and stuff, and I'm able to do more with less time, right? And it's because I don't have a job anymore. Like now, I'm actually a leader and a CEO, right? And so I'm very interested about that. So yeah, so how do you help vision driven entrepreneurs, people who want to do big things, who are already high performers? They know what they're doing, they know what they want, they know where they're going, they even know who they are, get their time back.
Yeah, yeah. So it starts with stepping back and really observing the basics, and also seeing a shift in perspective, because
Okay.
high performers know the basics are important. You don't get anywhere without the basics. It's the same thing as if you're in a relationship with someone that you care about and you love them, you probably should let them know that you care about them and love them on a
Yeah.
regular basis. Like, that's the basics. And then there's that space where you can see things from a completely new and different perspective. So I'll give an example. Uh, just like a relationship is a 10-year relationship, a person can say, oh, I've been with this person for 10 years. Or you can say, I've been with this person each and every day, and each and every day is a new and different day. Just the cells are consistently recovering, they're consistently recycling, they're consistently changing. Our perspectives are consistently changing if we allow them to. And within that consistency comes a new reality. And with the new reality comes excitement and fun.
Mm, I like that, man. We're consistently changing. And that's why most relationships don't work.
Yeah.
Because what people do is that they're looking for their other half, right? So like people are walking around like this big giant capital C, right?
Hmm.
Looking for someone else who is a big giant capital C who can complete them, right? So,
Hmm.
by definition, they get into a codependent relationship, which, the best that you can get from that is conditional love,
Yeah.
right? Like love based on conditions.
Yeah.
Like you give me this, I'll give you this. And then you people get into relationships in which they get with people, they get together with people because of something they have, without realizing that person is probably not going to be the same person. Their needs change, their perspective change, their way of thinking change. And in 5 years, like they're not going to even know their person. Like that capital C is going to turn into something else. And now like the relationship is not going to work. So,
Yeah.
so stepping back and then shifting your perspective. Um, all right. So what else?
Yeah, yeah. So ultimately, as you go through the process, I say there's the internal beliefs, the external beliefs, and the vehicle that is used. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of coaches, they train in the internal and the external beliefs. We all know that things don't change unless your internal changes. We also know if your external is still the same, probably going to get the same results, no matter how strong your internal is. The vehicle that we use, it really specific on virtual assistants, and not just delegate out your weaknesses. It's a lot more than that, because ultimately you'll have someone come in, they'll get a virtual assistant, and they'll say, "Oh crap, it didn't work." And it's not that
Yeah.
the virtual assistant didn't work, the leadership didn't work somewhere. Either they didn't hire correctly, they didn't ask that person the right questions, they didn't customize that person for their business specifically. And so what we come in to do is really take a three-pronged approach and do the coaching, the consulting, and the hiring of the virtual assistant to
Nice.
to basically make their life as easy and seamless as possible.
Cool. The coaching, the consult, you consult them, you coach them. So do you like own like a staffing agency or something like that? Or are you
Yeah.
running that kind
Well,
of business?
yeah, we have a team. We're calling it the MBB community right now, and MBB stands for Mind Body Business. And what we
Hmm.
do is we bring our team together and we see what their problem is, and we just help them come up with the best solution that will work for them.
Cool, man. So I'm working with virtual assistants
Hmm.
and they're absolutely amazing, man. Like they're one of the most, they are like the most hardworking, devoted, honest, trustworthy individuals that I've ever seen, right? Um, and like it works, like so my core values are respect, humility, and wisdom, right? And I try to treat everyone with respect and humility, right? I try to be as respectful and as humble as I can. And a lot of people see virtual assistants as like they're this thing, like like they're a virtual assistant. But in
Hmm.
reality, like when you get humble, you're able to realize that they're just another person, that they probably have the same, if not more potential than you,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I'll go as far as saying, show me how you treat someone you think is lesser than you, and I'll show you who that person's friend is. And so ultimately, I'm no different or any better than anybody, any human being. And so if I'm treating my wife with respect and kindness and love, but I'm treating the waiter with disrespect because she's a waiter, she
Mm,
doesn't she doesn't mean anything to me. Um, that's a part of my lens that is blinded. That's a part of me who I'm not really fulfilling in the deepest levels of a relationship that I can. And so I'm basically strangleholding myself. And yeah, sometimes people go through that. Well, I think everybody has to go through that process to an extent. Um, but when you do realize like life is built on relationships specifically, every single one that you have with a human being, another human being, um, you start seeing your potential and you start seeing others' potential a little bit more.
100% relationships. That's what life and business is all about. And I want to ask you about like why is your community, why do you talk about mind, body, and business, right? But
Hmm.
before I do that, let me just like talk a little bit more about relationships, because that's what life and business are all about.
Hmm.
Relationships, like like uh that's what it's all about, man. So like if you like wherever it is that you want to be, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to have, there's someone out there that already has that is
Yeah.
already that type of person, that is already doing the types of things that you want to do, that already has the life that you want to have. And the easiest way for you to get there, in my opinion, is for you to connect with all of those people that are the definition of where you want to be, right? Like you're the average of the five people you're surrounding yourself with. If you start surrounding yourself with the type of people who are who you want to be, are doing the types of things that you want to do, and have the life that you want to have, you'll get there faster. And that this is one of the reasons I started my podcast. I started interviewing modern gentlemen, right? Men who had the traits and qualities that I looked up to,
Hmm.
And it worked. Like, because of my podcast in the last 6 months, man, I'm literally achieving goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve this year. Like building a
Nice.
$1 million my company to $1 million per year. Um, like speaking on stage in front of, an audience. I thought that I was going to be doing this in 10 years from now, throwing my own events. I have a network of over 100 high level individuals that have agreed to speak at my event. And all of this came through my podcast. Right.
Very nice.
So, which is relationships.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And so yeah, I really like relationships, right? And I've been working on that. So man, mind, body, and business. Like, so tell me about those three.
Yeah, so everything comes down to your mind, your body, and your business. The mind is the way you think on what you see, your belief systems. Ultimately, I say we become the beliefs we have and the tools, the resources, and the systems we have available to us. And so I always start with belief systems, figuring out, okay, where is their belief system? And why is their belief system their belief system? You know, I'm not going to be a person to challenge their belief system and say, oh, that's wrong and this is why. But I'm going to listen to their belief system and say, if there's a better way, would they like to see it? I want people to be curious. I want people to
Hmm.
be curious with life. And if they say yes, I just start showing them a different belief system. So that starts with the mind. For the body, if you're not taking care of your body, you're not being as optimal as you should be. And that's just the way that it goes. If you don't have proper sleep, proper nutrition, proper eating habits, proper breathing habits, even, uh, you're not going to be as efficient as you would want to be. And even if there's someone who's more talented than another, because that's the name of the game, some people are just more talented in certain things, and certain skills, and certain abilities. But if you are that, it's almost a responsibility to show the world how much you can be. Be as much as you were meant to be by going all in on yourself internally. So that's really the body part. And as for the business, I think we're all a business. We're all a business because we're all a brand. It's what people are saying about you, what people feel about you, how people care about you. What are you giving to the world? And are you giving to the world or are you taking from the world? And really being able to upfrontly ask yourself those questions and being willing to even ask others those questions and seeing how they answer it for you.
Nice. I like that. Especially you must be willing to go all in on yourself, because that is the key.
Yeah.
Um, like I just made a pretty big investment in myself, right? Um, and then one of my uncles asked me like holy shit, like you're crazy, right? It was a
Uh-huh.
pretty big, I don't know, maybe five, yeah, like a five-figure investment in myself, right?
Hmm.
Um, and he was like, you're crazy, right? Like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't even need it, right? It was performance. So this guy teaches about the four human powers, which is biology, psychology, uh, something else, and influence, right?
Hmm.
And and I told him, well, it's not for me, right? Like, because my purpose is building this world movement, helping men become modern gentlemen. Like, I'm doing it, right? I'm building a movement, helping men become modern gentlemen, a world movement. I'm going to be impacting millions of people.
Hmm.
You're on a mission to impact 1 billion people, right? So we're pretty similar. So like,
Yeah.
investing in myself doesn't mean investing in myself. I'm selfishly doing it in order to be selfless, right?
Yeah.
And be able to, because like, not only am I going to benefit, but like all of these people that I'm going to be impacting along my life are going to benefit from this investment in myself, right? Not only
Yeah.
that, but like my family, I'm going to share this knowledge with my dad, with my brother. uh, so when you think about it that way, the investment is small,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And I go into perception's reality. And so the question is, what perception do you want to have? That's what it really comes down to. Like I can give an example. When I was fighting in the UFC, I could have perceived like, I can't go drink alcohol right now. That's not.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message coaching service and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. throw my own events, and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Not fair. That sucks.
Yeah.
I could care less because my perception was, oh, I'm gonna go get this. I'm gonna go be an elite fighter. That's what I wanted to focus on. So that's what I chose to focus on.
You had a purpose, you had a why, right? So, yeah, man. So you're in a mission to impact 1 billion people, man. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. What makes me crazy?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. And yeah, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere. It started from somewhere.
Exactly, yeah.
I was an overweight kid, right? And I ended up losing the weight, getting myself in shape, going through my process. And every time I went through a process, I noticed the same steps. There's going to be some people who are cheering you. There's going to be some people who are booing you. And then there's going to be a group who doesn't even care. Like they're just like, they could care less whether you win or you lose. And so you go through it, you go through your trials and your tribulations. You end up getting out the other end and you learn a big lesson. And sometimes it's not even the lesson you thought you were going to learn. You know, you thought like, I was going to learn this, but I really learned this. And when you do that enough times, you realize you get better at condensing time and getting faster at learning those lessons, which is really kind of cool. And even as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs are about leveraging energy specifically. It's about energy leverage. And so, like the money that we use, the communications that we have, the way that we treat people, it's all to leverage something. And when you can figure out that the perfect kind of leverage is win-win leverage, everybody wins in that situation. That's the name of the game. So in order to create heaven on earth, we need to see everyone as a winner. Like you shared with me what process you went through, and I didn't see a problem with your process. Your process was your process. You went through your story. You had your dad tell you, "Hey, son, don't be like me." And then you ended up being like him. And then
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then you reversed it. And even that giggle, that laugh, you get an experience through it all. We're here for an experience. So there is no perfect way to go about this. There is no like, all right, if you follow this system in this order in this way, that person's going to be just as lost in something one day. We just don't know where. But everyone feels lost sometimes. And the beauty about feeling lost is when you are lost, you can be found. And when you are
Mm,
lost and you become found, you can help other lost people get found. If you've always had it figured out, if you always knew everything to do, if you were always perfect in what you did, you wouldn't be able to guide people appropriately. You wouldn't have that human experience to guide them.
yeah. Okay. So man, I felt lost, right? Like I feel lost all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like this week. Like I plan, on Sunday, I planned my week and I planned Monday, and it didn't go like none of it went the way that I planned it to go, right? So
Uh-huh.
and I was like, but I embraced that, right? I embraced that. So but in other instances in which I didn't have like the level of insight that I have right now, I would like get overwhelmed and start doubting myself and then fall off the horse for like the next 3 days, right? Until I was able to regroup and regain my belief in myself. So like I've been through that, and it's like really like self-doubt and overwhelm, and it's just frustration, right? It's like it's painful, right? So what do you say to people that may be feeling lost right now? I mean, like they may feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, like they can't see the light, they don't know where they are, they don't know what they're going, they're just lost.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I've done when I felt lost is I look up at the sky
Mm.
and I'll sometimes say like, man, I'm fucked. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Yeah,
So I was looking and I just let life flow into me. That's the game that I play. Sometimes when I look up at the sky, I realize how small everything really is.
that's crazy, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And so when I realize how small everything is, I go, all right, so now I just need to figure out what's the one step that I need. Because momentum breeds confidence. So now I
Mm.
just need to figure out, okay, what's one thing that is going to give me some momentum to move in the direction that I want to move into. And so then I'll start looking for that one thing. And whether that's, hey, I need to exercise a little bit, I need to feel good, I need to take a couple breaths to slow down, I need to sit and rest, I need to take a nap. I don't care what it is. Whatever you have to do that thing to build your momentum up.
Yeah, man, totally. Because my last interview right now, like an hour and a half ago, I was drained. And it's because I've done like over 12 interviews this week, and
Mm,
like sales calls and team meetings and like a bunch of stuff, trainings. And I worked out, took a cold shower, and now I'm feeling like sharper, right? Like in my last interview, I couldn't even ask questions because I was like feeling drained. And now I worked out, I took a cold shower, and now like I feel a little bit sharper. So
mm,
that's what I had to do to gain some momentum, right? And like it wasn't in my schedule to work out in between your meeting and my meeting. There was something else that I had to do, but I
mm.
decided to go work out because that's what I needed. Um, and you talked about flow, so I'm very like passionate about flow, and I've been starting to study it. I don't know if maybe you just said it to throw a word out there, but
Mm.
like, do you have any thoughts, any like opinions on like flow?
Yeah, so Yoda actually said it best. Either do or do not. There is no try. Now, one thing that was different between my fighter's journey and my entrepreneur journey, as an entrepreneur, is the first time I was actually trying at something. Never tried. I was just always a person of being, a person of passion. And in all of that trying, I was getting frustrated. And
Hmm.
as I stopped trying and started being again, I had to
Damn.
remember to be. I had to remember to be. And that's why I remind people, like, look, everyone's going to go through their process. Everyone's going to go through their path, and everyone's going to go through their trials and their tribulations. And remembering to be, it reminded me of something new. But not only did it remind me of something new, it helped me talk to others who had lost that feeling of being before, who had been a high performer and didn't know because they were doing something different and they were forcing it instead of just being it.
So how can you be? Like, what is the key to that? Because you hear like this be do have gets thrown around a lot, right? And
Yeah,
some
yeah,
people want to have before they do and they be, and then some people are just like doing and holding themselves back, fucking themselves over and keeping themselves stuck and running in circles.
yeah.
So how do you be?
It's interesting because you mentioned you have a big C and then another C is looking for a C, right?
Mhm.
And then they're connecting.
There
Um,
you go.
I look at people as patterns. And so when we can figure out what our pattern is meant to be, and sometimes the only way we can do that is by taking action. Like you can't know that breakfast will give you energy until you've actually eaten the breakfast. And so so when people are going through their process, there's a series of actions that they have to take to know what they want versus what they don't want. They have to go through experiences and go through their own ahas. So being isn't just like, oh, go be. Like if I said just go be, well, what does that mean? Well, figure out what you want, be really intentional with it, and then start acting towards that thing. Because that's the only way you'll realize, like, oh, okay, I'm really good at this, or oh, I really suck at this, so I need to practice, or it's whatever it needs to be. It's whatever your perception needs to be. And then you just go act on it, and you act on it, and you act on it. And eventually you figure out who your being is. The coolest, hardest thing about being human is we're capable of so many things. We're capable of a lot. And so fish just swim because they're fish. So they're like, oh, that's what I do. And birds just fly. They're birds. Like, oh, that's what I do. Humans get really, really confused because they're like, oh, I can do all sorts of things. Oh, crap. What am I super truly gifted at? Like, what is my greatest gift? And some people are put in the right situation with the right direction and still don't get it right off the bat because we're so layered. Human beings are very, very layered people. And so when we can realize that and give ourselves grace and say, I'm just going to be the best me that I can be in the moment that I'm being it. And I'm going to go experiment with life and see what I just absolutely enjoy. What wakes me up? What gets me up in the morning? The only way you figure that out is by taking the action.
I like that, man. Yeah. So those layers, how do
Hmm.
you get to the core?
That's a good question. Yeah, ask the right questions. Everybody has certain questions that work best for them. So, like, I'll give you an example. With what your dad said, could he have could he have potentially asked you some questions that would have triggered you in a different way to not take the action that you took? I don't know. I can't know that answer because we can't go backwards. We can
But
only go in our
probably, right?
present.
He could have
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. We can only go present and we can only go forward. But what I do see is when people are asked the right questions for them, the ones that work for them, the ones that trigger them in a negative or a positive way, the ones that move them in a negative or a positive way, um, that's the best way to get into the layers. You ask the right questions in the right order.
I like that. Cool. So right now you have so you do some coaching and consulting, right? So what is it
Mhm.
exactly that you help people with the coaching and consulting?
Yeah, yeah. So we're just looking to 10x your time. Call ourselves the time hackers, and it's really about condensing time so that you can have more impact and enjoy the time that you have in the way that you want to enjoy it.
Cool.
Ultimately, we want to serve others, and we want to serve ourselves, or at least I would hope we would want to serve ourselves, because both are important. Both are
Yeah.
important to do because you can grow to your fullest of potential. And so now it's just about stepping in, figuring out the system that will work best for them, getting the virtual assistants that will help them create the traction in their business so they're not tied into their business, but their business is an entity that's there to serve them as well.
Cool. So then you provide, virtual assistants, and then you guide and coach people through the process of like hiring them and leading them and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. So I mean, yeah, like that. What you just said right now, a couple of seconds ago, was a great insight because a couple of years ago, I got on a call with this guy, right? And he told me about my goals, and I started listing them. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that. And then when I finished listing all of the things that I thought I wanted, he told me, "But man, but like, why do you want like why do you want this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
from everything that you're listing, there's nothing for you."
Mm-hmm.
So we forget ourselves sometimes, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
we are important.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
actually the most important, right? Because if you can't fill your cup, you can't fill anyone else's cup.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
I look at the I always go, all right, go internal, external, internal. So internal is see how you are internally, then external, see how the external world is, and then go back to your internal, see how you internally are perceiving the external that you've just seen. The reason I say this, if a person's central nervous system is haywire and overly pressured, they're probably going to make the wrong choice. Like it's almost guaranteed they're not going to make the right choice. So when we can sit there and point at a person and say, "Oh man, they really screwed that up." Well, why did they screw it up? Ask the questions. There's always the question behind the question.
hmm. And that's why mind, body, and spirit, right? I mean, mind, body, and business, right?
Hmm.
Because like if it like the only way that you can get haywire, that's what you said it, right? Haywire.
Yeah,
I'm learning new words. The only way that you can like get haywire is if you don't take care of your mind and your body.
yeah.
And like businesses don't have problems. People do. They have
Hmm.
problems with their minds and their bodies and their emotions. And those problems show up in their business. So yeah. So man, I have 5 questions for you. We have a couple of minutes. I want to make sure that
Yeah.
we get some time to go over them. Um, the first question is, what advice do you give your 20-year-old self, Clifford, if you could?
Man, keep enjoying the journey. Have fun. The reason I say that is if I give advice to somebody, um, I can completely change their world for better or for worse. But I do know if a person goes all in on their journey, because it's their journey, um, they'll win. That's the way to do it.
Enjoying the journey, man, has completely been life changing. Once I finally learn it,
Yeah,
because it's so hard, right? Like at first, if no one tells you, and then if you weren't able to, maybe well, you hear it a lot, right? It's about the journey, not the destination, and all of this stuff. But if you just like hear it from an intellectual level, you're not able to actually internalize that and really feel what it means.
yeah,
You won't feel what it means. Like it will be tough, right?
yeah.
Like
And I'll
goals are
and I'll
not
tell
about the
you
goal.
like then the reason this question's so interesting because you asked what would I say to my 20-year-old self. So I
Hmm.
already went through the journey, and it's almost like I'm robbing from that person to go through their journey because it's me. It's me who's already gone through the journey. Why would I do that to that person? Now, a different 20-year-old, that'd be a different story. That's also the game that I play because I think it is about the journey, but it's also about the destination. Like,
Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
celebrate the journey. Celebrate the hell out of it. And then when you get to the destination, celebrate that too. and then celebrate the new journey that you're going to go on to because it's boring just sitting at the destination.
Yeah, cool. I like that. Um, the next question is about mindset, man.
Mhm.
So, like, what is a mindset shift that you've had that you can share that you think is contributing to your success and to your progress and to your process and to your like yeah progress and success.
Yeah, so mine was actually reverse as I went into entrepreneurship. I realized that I actually do things the hard way because
Okay.
it's fun to do things the hard way.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
realized like, Cliff, leverage your expertise, leverage your skill sets. I'm like, oh, that's different. I've been used to the hard way. I like the hard way. And I almost have to reverse myself because the hard way has always worked for me. It's like put in the reps, put in the reps. We put in the reps. It's about putting in the reps. And then when I started going around different people with different perspectives, like, well, do we really have to put in the reps? What if there's an easy button? Because a lot of times there is.
There always is
Yeah,
a different, better, faster way, right?
yeah, it's crazy. So if for say like let's say we took a sprinter who's putting in the reps and then we put another guy inside of a car, the guy in the car is going to beat the sprinter no matter how many reps they put in. So it's really about, all right, how are you going to effectively step back, critically think, and push the button that needs to be pushed?
Yeah, 100%. I like that mindset map. So map, right? So clarity. So do you have any advice, tip, tactic, strategy, tool, piece of advice, wisdom, whatever that would help people gain, people that may lack or may need some clarity, and that may
Mhm.
help with people more, people with that, with gaining more clarity?
Yeah, the more specific you can get with your dream, the better. So what I say is go tell people what your dream is. Just go tell them. And if you have to start with people who are actually um what's the word I'm looking for? Your support systems,
Okay.
cuz there's I say tell everybody, this is why. You build confidence like no other. Like when you get to the point where you don't care what people's judgments are, you just know you have a dream and you want to get really dialed in on it, tell your haters, tell your supporters, tell everybody. Because sometimes your haters help you get things better faster. Because a person,
Because they
it's
give you
hard for,
feedback.
exactly. It's hard for a person to say something stupid when it's so clear and concise and you have it crystallized.
Yeah, that's great, man. All right. So yeah, I like that because I mean I think I have a pretty clear vision,
Hmm.
right? But I mean I think there's always room for improvement and making it clearer and more accurate and more specific. So and you don't know what my like you don't know exactly. Maybe I can show you. But what
Hmm.
advice would you like? Yeah, like how? What am I trying to ask? Yeah, how can I make it? What did you say? More detailed, more clear,
Yeah, specific, as
more
specific as
specific. There you
possible.
go. Okay. So up to what point is like the color that your house is gonna be like how specific?
The more specific, the better. Now, that also depends on the individual because sometimes when we get too specific, it can be very, very scary for us. So we have to go to the specific where we viscerally feel like we can act on it, and not only feel like we can act on it, but we're actually acting on it.
Cool. Nice. I like that. Mindset, map, motion. So what is one habit that you have right now, Clifford, that is contributing to your success?
Gratitude all day long.
Ooh, I like that
Yeah,
one.
I got
Man,
my,
it's been a long time since that one has come up, and
really,
that's
yeah,
a huge one. Yeah.
yeah. I had my son graduated yesterday, and it was
From where?
absolutely kindergarten.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. He's doing online school at his class, and he graduated in kindergarten. And I was super super excited for him because it's cool when they're going through that 5 to 6 process, like the changes, the learning their ABCs and figuring out math and figuring out different sizes and shapes and comparing and understanding and learning capabilities and reading capabilities and seeing him go through his journey and his process and having a moment to celebrate, I was like, oh, that's super cool. So I wake up every morning just grateful for something. But yeah, yesterday was absolutely the graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. Gratitude, man. So, man, most days, you want to know what the first thing that I think of is?
Yeah.
That I'm grateful for being alive, for like having another day to like, keep on moving towards my goals. I have this vision board as soon as I wake up.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, like that's literally the first thought that comes to my mind. And I don't think enough people have that,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, mindset map, motion, measure. What do you think about measuring and tracking, Clifford?
So measuring is great because if it's not measured, it's not managed. And
Okay.
ultimately, when it comes to measuring, since I act on passion so much, I'm a very passionate actor. Um, One thing that helped me was communicating with the team. Communicating with the team what I wanted, because when I communicate it, it helps me actually measure better, and it helps me like just get it out there so that I can put it on paper and get really specific on where I'm going to move. But absolutely, I'm huge with the measuring process. It's a game changer for people.
Measuring and communication. Yeah. Telling
Yeah.
your goals to people, right? Keeping track of them, measuring them. Who said this? Effective executor, I think, effective manager, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker?
Mhm.
Is that a thing? Is that a name?
I think that's, yeah, I've heard
It
of the
sounds
name.
familiar, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what gets measured gets managed. What gets managed gets improved.
Oh,
Right.
I love it.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, awesome, man. Well, so man, if anyone is looking to, get more of their time back, 10x their time to be able to have massive impact, be more time with their families, with their community, be doing the things that they love. Um, and they want, maybe like they've heard of virtual assistants before,
Hmm.
but they're like not sure what it is. Or maybe they've worked with virtual assistants before, but it hasn't worked with them, but because maybe they didn't have the right guidance. Where can they like find you? Where can they find Clifford to see like where you're all
Yeah.
about and get more information?
Absolutely. So I have a group, a Facebook group called Mind Body Business Mastery. They can also messenger me on Facebook. They can find me on LinkedIn under Clifford Starks. And yeah, we can just have a conversation. Like I said, everything starts with the relationship. So I really just like seeing what people's big dreams are and their big goals are. Because from there we can whittle it down and see if we're a good fit for each other or not.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, I love this conversation, man. Thank you very much for being here. And
Yeah.
unless you have anything to add,
No,
we
thank
can.
you. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you sharing your story with me as well. And I know you're doing amazing things out there. You're supporting your community, and I thank your community for giving me their awareness, because awareness is one of the most powerful energies you can give another person. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I'll see you later. Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms